This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so lab number 18, friends. So in today's session, what we are going to discuss, we will see how to ingest data from REST API to data lake storage Gen2. Data lake storage Gen2. How to ingest data from REST API to data lake storage Gen2. So now, what is REST API? What is REST API? So what happens is some clients, they don't want to give access to entire data, so they don't even want you to see the data that they have. Okay, so yesterday, like, you just have to use the REST API URL. Whenever you use that REST API URL, whenever you request for some data, it will give you data. Example, there is a like www.cloudpundit.com/ okay, employee/1. So if I need a employee 1 details, I need to put 1 here. If I need a employee details 2, I need to put 2. Something like this, I need to query for all the employees. Okay, so this is one use case. The other use case is maybe, so if you want enter data about the transactions that are happened under Cloud Pandit on 2022-06/30th. Okay, so maybe they may put like the start date equal to, okay, and then end underscore date equal to 2022-07/01. So between from 2022-06/30 to 2022-07/1, so whatever data is processed, that entire data I need to read it and load it into the data lake storage Gen2. So these kind of scenarios we will have in the real time. So what we need to do is, we will not be able to design or develop the REST API. So that's why we will go with the dummy REST APIs in the Google. Okay, so dummy. Okay, something. Main problem is these things will take a lot of time to respond. Okay, that is the only problem. One second. Give me a few minutes, because it takes some time for us to see which are working, which are not working, and all. So this is basically giving employee 1 details. Next, employee 2 details. See, too many requests. So this is not going to work for us. Okay, wait, based on I can pick. Okay, so something you can see here. So when you just use this URL, entire data is coming at once. Let's say I need ID 1, you just give 1. So you see ID 1 details came. Okay, now let's say ID 2. So ID 2 details came. When you give ID 3, okay, ID 3 details came. Now let's say client has asked me to process data from 1 to 100. Okay, so can you just process data for 1 to 100 days? Okay, 1 to 100 days. Maybe you can take a date, but with the date we don't have any REST API. That's why I'm just going with the number. Okay, maybe client may say, can you just bring the data from June 1st to July 1st. Maybe you may ask, okay, June 1st to July 1st. So whatever data we have, can you just bring it? Otherwise, they may say, just can you bring the June 1st data, June 2nd data, June 3rd data, June 4th data. One by one, you need to iterate through. You need to increment this particular date. Similarly, here also you need to increment this number, and you need to query the data one by one. Okay, example. So what I'm saying is, this is the URL. If you take, so what I want to do is, first I need to query for the one, so ID number one. Once that is, once I processed, once I have copied that into my target folder, then two, okay, then three, then I need to bring the data for three, then I need to bring data for the four. Okay, meaning this, you cannot, like, you cannot hard code all the URLs, to do /1, to do /2, to do /3, to do /4 and all. You should not hard code anywhere. The reason is, only some number that you can able to increase. Similarly, date also, you can just keep increasing the date, that's all. But if for this, you no need to store these URLs and all in a metadata table, and you no need to iterate through, you no need to iterate through. So what I need to do is, I want to query the data. Okay, so this is the REST API URL. Let's imagine this is a REST API. What you can do is, you can just think of as something like this. This is a REST API. From the REST API, I am bringing the data. Okay, so using ADF, I am basically reading the data, and I want to copy it into the ADLSGen2. So what happens? First, I'll pass one to this particular REST API. Once I have read the data for REST API 1, so then it will be copied into the URL. It will be copied into the URL. Sorry, it will be copied into the ADLSGen2 as a, under global, there will be a folder called one folder will be created, and under one folder data will be copied. Next, if I'm passing number 2 to this, so second ID data will be fetched, that will be loaded into, under global, there will be a folder called 2 will be created, under 2 folder, so I'm going to load the second ID data. Next, if I pass 3 here, so the third employee, or you can say third ID data, I am going to load it under global. Under global, I'll have a container called 3. Under that subfolder 3, I am going to load the ID details 3, and so on. It will happen one by one. But this number, incremental number, I need to increase. So I need to take a minimum number, maximum number, and in between I need to increment it. How to do all these things within ADF, I'll tell you. Clear? Any questions? Clear, or any questions still here? Any questions?
Do we use REST APIs in real time, Malaya?
Yes, yes. Why not? Anybody is working on ADF here? Anybody worked on ADF? Friends, anybody worked on ADF? I know there are few people already working on ADF, and they already delivered some projects. Anybody have worked on ADF, friends, here? Yes, you will have a REST API, okay? Very important. Clear?
Yes, Malaya. Malaya, one dumb question. So to access the REST API in real time, do we get access to access that, or?
So they will give you the URL, they will give you the username and password.
Okay.
Okay, that part I'll explain now only. So let's go to the portal now. I'll show you. So what details they will give, how you are going to use those details, everything we will discuss now. Portal.edge.com. So go to Azure SQL database. Click create Azure SQL database. Cloud on RG4. Click OK. Database Cloud Pandit SQL 3006. Create a SQL server. Click here. Cloud Pandit SQL Server 3006. Click OK. Why I'm creating SQL database? Nobody is telling anything. Why I'm creating a SQL database? So I was thought of checking something and I was creating SQL database. See why like I'm thinking somewhere, you people also thinking somewhere. Cloud Pandit -RG3 and you need to give the storage name. Okay, Cloud Pandit ADLSGen2 3006. It's a ADLSGen2 enable hierarchical namespace. Click review plus create. See, nobody is stopped me, meaning nobody is like here. Where you people are thinking? I think you are going to load data
No, we
entity.
also got the same doubt.
No, I clearly mentioned, right? My this one is sorry. This one I'm basically loading into ADLSGen2. I said if I make mistake, you need to stop me. Okay. Cloud Pandit ADF V2 3006. Git configuration, configure it later. Click review plus create.
Malaya, we are not able to hear your voice. Hello, are you able to hear me? Someone? Trina?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, we are not
Yes,
able to hear the Malaya voice, no?
yes.
But we are not hearing Malaya.
Hello, hello.
Hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, Malaya.
Yes, Malaya.
Okay.
Yes, Malaya.
Okay, fine, thank you. I don't know, some issue, temporary issue maybe. Fine. Okay, so now let me restart again. Maybe like you did not hear, right? So creating Gen2 storage and ADF, you know, I'm just opening the Azure Data Factory again. Come to REST, linked service. Let's create a linked service for our source. What is our source? REST API. Okay, go to REST, give the name for this linked service as a REST API. Come down, you have to give the base URL. We can't your voice. Mahesh is saying he is not able to hear. Are you able to hear me now, rest of the people?
Yes,
Yes, Malaya.
Base region, you might have, I don't know, system was turned off and turned on within 2 seconds. From that time you are not able to hear. Fine, that's fine. So base URL means the URL which is fixed here. So 1, 2, 3 are changing. The base URL is this one. So which is not changing. Basically, you put that here. Then you use an anonymous access. In real time, you will have a basic authentication type. So they will give the username and password to connect to this particular REST API. But as we are taking this from the online, you need to use an anonymous connection. Okay, what type of connection it is? Anonymous connection and test connection.
/1 is not required, Malaya. At the end.
Slash you can put it. Okay.
Okay.
Slash you can put it. Then click create. Okay, done. So now come to you need to create one more linked service for our sink. Our sink is what? Gen2 storage. Select this ls for ADLSGen2. Come down, select the subscription. Storage account name is what? I think 3006, right? This is the one. Test connection. Create it. Mahesh is not understanding. Come to author tab. Let's create a directly pipeline. Okay, fine. In this pipeline, what you need to do is first, which activity we need to use is first you come to variables. You need to create a few variables. I'll tell you which variables are those. Okay. So you need to use maybe total 3 variables. One is for pipeline variable condition. So condition, I'll set it to the condition boolean and I'll set it to the false. When I use this variable, you know which activity I'm going to use. Until activity, until I reach a maximum number, I need to keep checking. Okay, that's why. Now PL variable for the current value. So current value, I'll start with the number 1. Okay. So at the end, I'll tell you. So basically, otherwise, let me create PL variable for temp. So why I am using temporary variable? If you remember, I have explained something which is not going to work in ADF is A equal to 10, meaning already you are using this variable. This variable you assign with 1. Now next, if you want to increment this current value to 2, this will not work. Current value equal to current value plus 1. So current value is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 you reassign to the same variable. This will not work in ADF. So let me show you that. Otherwise, how I can be able to show you is very easy. Come here, set variable activity. Use this set variable as a current variable. So here, if you try to do, it is what current variable of type is a string. So you need to bring it into the int and make it as a +1. See, simple it is showing, right? Expression contains self-referencing variable. A variable cannot reference itself in the expression, meaning you are using this variable again you are reassigning to the same variable. That will not work in ADF. That is the problem. Now what we are going to use is here temp variable. So that's why I created one more temp variable. Now what happens? Temp variable value will be what? What is the temp variable value?
Current value.
Oh my God. What is current? Temp variable value is 2 because current value is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 you have assigned to it. Now that 2 you reassign back to current variable. From the temp variable you reassign back to the current variable. That's all you need to do. Simple. How many of you understood this logic? How many of you understood this logic? Anybody required any help? Please let me know. I'll explain. This is very important. You will not be able to understand anything. Somebody is asking, but I'm not able to.
Malaya, we are assigning current value to temporary variable.
Exactly, temporary variable. The reason is, see, if you do like this, it will not work because current variable you are reassigning back to the same variable. That's why it is not working. Now you see, self-referencing variable cannot reference itself in the expression. Whatever you do expression, but it is there, it will not work. Okay. So that's why what I'm doing, this current variable plus 1, okay, like this. This is basically string type that I'm converting into int and adding 1. Then I'll convert everything back to the string. Okay, I'll convert everything back to the string and I'll reassign this one to the temp variable. Okay, something is problem. Okay, add function you can use it is saying instead of place. We can use the add function. Okay, add function, what it is doing, this current value plus 1, both it is adding and it is reassigning that value to this number temp. But if you make it as a current, it will throw error. Now you see, a expression contains self-referencing variable cannot be referencing itself in the expression. That's why I reassign this value, the current value plus 1 to the temp variable. From temp variable I will use one more set variable. Once this is succeeded, immediately I will use current variable equal to what you can use, temp variable. Temp variable you can reassign back to the current variable. So this is the workaround, as it is not going to work.
Hello, Malaya.
I think we lost him again.
Not audible, Malaya.
Hello,
Yeah, for me also.
hello.
Yes, Malaya, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Just
Yeah,
give me a
Malaya.
few minutes.
No,
Hello. Mic testing, please.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Hello. Yeah, Malaya. Now.
Are you hearing?
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Malaya.
Yes, Malaya. Yes, Malaya.
Yes, Malaya.
So I hope everybody understood this logic, right? So you cannot assign directly to the current variable. You need to assign to the temp variable. From temp variable, you need to assign to the current variable. What I am doing here, I just assigned the incremental value to the temp variable. That temp variable, again, I am reassigning to the current variable. This is the logic I need to implement in my pipeline now. Okay. So now what I have done, I have taken 3 values. This is a condition is false. Now I'll just put some condition until this particular condition, the variable condition is true. Okay, until this variable condition is true, so you need to iterate through this particular, you need to loop through this particular activities, inner activity. So inside what I'll do is I'll check, I'll just basically use a copy activity. Okay, what this copy activity will do, copy activity will just copy data from REST API. Okay, this is the REST API, DS for REST API. So linked service we already created. This is the one. Click OK. But where I am going to pass the value 1 to this particular data set. Okay, now go to this data set, source data set, REST API. If you see relative URL means whatever value, suppose if I pass 1 to this relative URL, this value will be passed dynamically to this particular URL. What happens is if you give relative URL is 1, that 1 will be added to the URL. Okay, base URL. Relative URL will be added to the base URL. In relative URL, if I pass 1, that will be added to the base URL. Base URL is this one. Okay, now what I'll do, I need to pass this relative URL one by one. How to pass this relative URL one by one is create one dataset parameter, ds param for current ID connection. Click on this, add dynamic content. This is a current ID. Okay, who is going to assign value to this current ID is come here. See, this is the parameter it is showing. Click on this, add dynamic content, come down, and you need to assign the current variable value. What is the current variable value? What is the current variable value? One. So that one I'm passing to this dataset parameter, that will be added to this base URL. So now it will become total this one. Okay, let's say where I need to load this data. I need to load this data into the ADLSGen as a CSV or JSON, anything. Please go mute because a lot of disturbance I'm seeing today. See, when I left the meeting, if you shout and all, if you do, that everything will be recorded. Remember, don't do like that. See, in the browse, you just select global, click OK, and under the directories, so you need to create the again subfolders. Okay, first as header, click OK. In the sim, you can see here subfolder I need to create. Okay, come to parameters, ds param for you can say this is what a ds param for current ID. This one also. This I need to use where as a subdirectory. How to pass that parameter value? Tell me, Sri Lakshmi, how to pass it? Current variable value.
Click on dynamic.
So after copy activity, you need is a if condition. Okay, in this if condition, you need to check if the current variable value, if the current variable value is equal to the current variable value. See, I am going with a simple number 10. The reason is so this is I need to convert into int. Okay, so I'm basically going with a simple number 10. The reason is if you go through simply 100 100 items, there is no use. That's why I'm just moving from 1 to 10 IDs. Okay, that's why maximum ID I just passed as a 10. Click OK. That also, if you want to pass it as a pipeline parameter value or something, you can able to pass it, no issues. Okay, that maximum value. Next, so this is the true and false. So when this is a true, what you want to do, when you have copied the 10th ID, when this condition is true, what you want to do is you want to stop the execution. If you want to stop the execution, what you want to do, in the true activity, what happens is you need to use a set variable activity. Okay, the set variable activity basically uses the sorry, not this one, condition. I'll set it to the true, so that until activity will come out, it will not re-execute the copy activity. Okay, when that condition is met, when the number is, the current variable value is not equal to 10, when it is not reached to 10, what I want to do, current value is or 1 or something, what you want to do next, you need is a set variable activity to increment the current variable. How to increment? So you need to assign the incremental value to the temp variable, because you cannot assign the incremental value directly to the current variable. Okay, that's why use this temporary variable. Okay, now you increment the current value. You need to increment. This is of type string, you need to convert into int. Okay, I converted into int. So now I need to add this integer value plus 1. So that's why add function. So this one comma 1, meaning current variable value is 1, 1 to 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, I want to add. Okay, so after you added 1 plus 1, it will be of type int, but we need a result in a string format. That's why you use a string. It will be converted into string. Now click OK. Now what happens? 1 plus 1, 2, we have reassigned to the temp variable. So from temp variable, in the number 2 is now we have that temp variable value we need to reassign back to the current variable. Okay, temp variable value we need to assign back to the current variable. Okay, so that's all you need to do. You can just run the pipeline now. Okay, any questions still here?
Malia, in until expression, within the until, can't we write just equals that value to 10?
That also you can do basically. That also you can do, but equal to 10 means here you need to reset it back to the 10, right? Anyhow, you need to use a set variable activity. You understood? Okay. Because you need to increment that conditional value also, right? Otherwise, you can just use the current variable value. Yeah, that also will work basically. Yeah. Okay, what you said, that will work. You can reduce the one of the variable basically if you use that approach. What you can do, instead of using this variable condition, you can use a current variable value. When the current variable value is equal to 10, I want to cut it. So in that case, you no need to use the set variable. Lot of things you can reduce. Clear? But this is a simple and easy way to understand. But if you want to optimize, yes, one is instead of separate variable called condition, you can use a current variable, and you can say when the current variable value is equal to 10, until activity will be condition true and it will come out. If that is not 10, it will keep iterating through. Okay, next. Any other questions? So I'll tell you so I'll tell you after the execution. I'll show you. Somebody asked, right? So the improvements in this pipeline, what you can do, I'll show you. Okay, now you debug. The until activity is running copy data 1. As you know, condition is false. See set variable. First, this 2 is assigned to the temp variable. From temp variable, we assign the value 2 to the current variable. Current variable value is 2. So for 2 copy activity is running. and so on. It will now you go to here, refresh this. See, 1 is created, 2 is created. Under 1, if you open this file and see, you'll have a ID number 1 details. See, ID number 1. Okay, now you go back, click on 2, check here. So you'll have a ID 2 details here. See, ID 2 details. Okay, and so on. It will just keep going. But if you want to optimize, one thing is, in the for each you can make it as a batch. Batch means, oh sorry, we are not using for each, right? Sorry, we need to go one by one only, because in until you don't have any batch, one by one value only it can able to check. Say 6. You can see the execution here. Sorry, here if you see the execution, what happens, set variable is here 8. So 8, for 8 it is running, copy activity is running for 8. Okay. Now what is the value here? For 9, copy activity is running for 9. Now you come to storage, refresh it and see. So 1 to 9 details came now. The last ID is running for the number 10. Okay, before that, this is the 9th ID. Open this, click edit. So ID is 9. Okay, ID is 9. Go back, click on this global, refresh this. So number 10 is here. So you can see ID number 10 here. ID number 10. Okay, close this. Come to AG data factory. So everything is succeeded. What is the improvement that you can do is, let me show you. You just clone this copy at this entire pipeline. In this pipeline, the improvements that you can do is, you can use only the conditional statement, you can remove it. Okay, only current variable value is 1 now. What I'll do is, I'll say here set equals to, in this I'll say current variable value must be equal to 10. When it is 10, it is going to be come out. So I'll run this also. That's I'm taking till we have. So I'll go with till 15 from 11. Okay, got it. So I'll start from 11 and I will go up to 15. You understood? I'm going till 15. When the number is reached 15, it is going to stop. Go inside until activity. Copy activity you'll do. You'll check the condition here. Now the condition, what you will do is, you'll check for until you basically, yeah. You basically no need to do the if condition and all. You remove this if condition this time, because you don't require all those things. Now what you can do directly, you can use a set variable after this copy activity. Okay, once the first data is copied, immediately you increment the temp variable to current variable value plus 1. Understood? Current variable value is how much? How much?
11.
So the 11. So for that 11, I am adding a 1 to add current variable value plus 1, 12. Now total result I am converting into the string. Click OK. So now what happens? So you are basically assigning 12 to this temp variable. I'll reassign that number 12 to the what current variable. So temp variable you assign 12, 12 I am reassigning back to the current variable. Okay. Now I can just run this. You will see it basically processes data from 11 to 15. Copy data activity is running for the number 11 basically now. You can see number 11 already available. Okay. Now if you go here, so now let's see, this is number for 12. 12 also succeeded. For 13, copy activity is going to start now. Yes. Next. One row only copied, but you can see here number 14. For 14, copy activity is going to start. Now last number, that is 15, copy activity is going to run, then until activity will be succeeded. That's all. You see here. I think it will process only for 14. That's how our logic is. Okay. The reason is, what happens is, you come here. So let's say 14th copy activity is completed. You are incrementing value current variable to 15. So until activity will check current value is 15, it is stopping. If you want to process up to 15, this particular condition you need to put up to 16. Got it, everybody? Everybody understood?
Yes,
Yes,
Malaya.
Yeah. So this is how you can improve it, but this is the easy for understanding. This is how you can able to improve, and you can do in a very few activities. Same logic. Okay, clear till here?
Yes, Malaya.
Okay. Okay. Now I'll go and explain one more thing, so that we can close the. See, if you have any question, let me know. Otherwise, I'll go to the another lab within the REST API only. The other case I'll explain to you.
Malaya, right now we put everything in a separate folder. Is it possible we can create
No,
only
your
one
voice
file?
is very low. You need to speak little bit loud, Chinmay.
I said, can you hear me now? Is it audible now?
Tell me now.
In the chat. Let me put it in the chat.
Huh?
I said, right now we put it in a single file, right? Is it possible to create only one file out of 15?
One file at a. No, I did not get the complete question. Anybody understood his question?
Yeah, Malaya, he is asking instead of 15 files, is it possible to get in one file all 15 entries?
Yeah, if you want to bring everything into a 15 entries in a same file, if you want to get it, that is not possible. What you can do is, you can load all these 15 files into a same folder. So when you are processing further, right, same structure will be there. You can point to the folder and you can read entire data at once, instead of loading into a different folders. Why I have loaded, just to show you. But if you want to load all the files into a single folder, it will be much more easier. You no need to create a sync parameters, sync dataset parameter. Everything will be loaded into global. Otherwise, you just hard code here as there is some kind of a rest data. Under rest data folder, all these ID number 1 file will be created, ID number 2 file will be created, ID number 3 file will be created. Everything will have the same structure. In further process, when you want to read, you can point to the folder and you can read all the files at once. You cannot write everything into a single file, but you can able to do similar kind of thing, because there is no difference in these two. Okay, clear, Chinmay?
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Next. Any other questions?
Malaya, I have a question. Like, we could also achieve this by writing a set variable array type, writing 1 to 10 and iterating it by for each loop, right?
Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
Okay, but see, generally what happens, until activity, why we will use is to check a multiple condition. In REST API kind of thing, you will not have a
Your voice is not audible, Malaya.
not audible, Malaya.
connection. Hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, Malaya. Now
Hello.
Now yes.
Yes, yes.
Hello. Able to hear me now? Hello.
yes, Malaya.
Yes, Malaya.
Yes, Malaya.
So there is a power cut, friends. So suddenly like power is going off and on. So that's why Wi-Fi is disconnecting. So now I fixed it. I connected to the inverter, so there won't be any problem now. Okay, so somebody is asking some question and I dropped in the yes, area, right? With area also you can do, but in the REST API, what happens is, so you'll have more scenarios in the REST API. The scenarios are, let's say, until you have a data, you need to keep iterating through. If the copy activity count is 0, then you need to stop the your until activity. So you will just after copy activity, you take a count of the data REST API read. As the count is 0, you will set the condition to true and you will make until activity to come out. But in for each you cannot say fix a number. These many times you need to run to check the copy activity, like to process entire data. You don't know how many times you need to copy, how many times you need to iterate through the copy activity to process entire data. You will not have any fixed number. So in that case, you must go with until activity. Clear? Who asked this question?
Yes, Malaya. Clear.
Okay, Abhishek. Now we will move on to the next lab. Very important. So let's imagine there is a scenario where let's imagine these are 4 different URLs. 4 different URLs. Okay. And this is basically my customer data I am fetching from this URL. I am getting employee data from here. I am getting some transaction data from here. Let's imagine, okay. So maybe client might have given different URL. As we don't have different URL, I am reusing the same URLs. This is some kind of a sales data. Okay. Fourth URL is giving sales data, third URL is giving transaction data. But now I need to iterate through these 4 items and I need to process data. One by one URL I need to pass it. How? Okay. Now what you need to do, let's say this is a source URL, comma, sync folder. So this is a metadata file I have created. You just put it in the desktop as a what happened to this? There is a comma separator only, right? Okay. So simple, what you can do is you can say metadata, REST metadata, okay, REST metadata dot CSV. Let's imagine like this, no problem. Put it in the desk. Please be in mute, friends. Lot of disturbance, I'm telling you. There will be a problem for you only. Now in the data lake storage, you create a config folder or metadata folder. Under config or metadata folder, you upload this file. REST metadata.txt. Okay, upload it. Now you come to here. We have a mapping details, you know, right? Whenever you have a mapping details, this is altogether completely a new pipeline I'm creating. Okay, So you understood this, right? I'm just removing all those things because even if you have those things, not a problem, but you will have little bit confusion between this and that. Okay, that's why I just removed everything. I'm creating a fresh pipeline now. In this pipeline, I'm using a lookup activity to read that particular mapping details. Okay, you need to observe here. There will be some issues. Okay, source data set which points to the ADLSGen2 CS we can consider. DS for ADLSGen2 lookup. This is a linked service. First as header, browse it, go to config folder, select this rest metadata.txt, click OK, debug this. See, you see, this is the one item, down is second item, and so on. You have these are the items we have. Okay, these basically we converted into items like this. Okay, so now I need to pass these items to what? For each activity. Carefully observe. So till here, you know, pass into the for each sequential. Lookup value array. Output dot value. Okay, go inside for each. Now I'm going to use the copy activity. Okay, so what is my source? Source is URL. Okay, REST API. You select REST API. You just have to say DS REST API. Okay, where is linked service? So linked service is not available. You need to recreate the linked service. Also click new. LS for REST API. Okay, so base URL is fixed or different one? See, in our case, base URL is same JSON placeholder.typecode.com, but in real time, maybe JSON placeholder, CSV placeholder. No, it is not fixed. What you understood? That is not fixed. Don't look at these existing things. Real time I am talking about. In real time, they might have given a different URLs. You need to pass these URLs differently, username and password differently. How will pass? You need to create a something called linked service parameter. See, this is a linked service parameter I am creating now. LS param for URL. So this linked service parameter I need to use here. Add dynamic content is the linked service parameter I created. Okay, use anonymous connection. If you have a username and password, that also you can parameterize. So but linked base URL I just parameterized. You don't need to test the connection because you don't have any URL. So this is the connection. This is the data set. Click OK. So now in the data set, if you go to this data set, REST API data set. Okay, see the linked service parameter is showing. How to pass the value to the linked service parameter is use the data set parameter. This you need to pass it to the linked service, meaning so from data set I am passing the value to the linked service parameter. Linked service parameter will pass the value to the linked service. Now who will pass the value to this data set parameter? Who will pass the value to this data set parameter? What you are practicing, I really don't know.
Yeah, for
Daily
each item.src URL.
.src URL. Simple things also you people are not answering. Fine. Now come to sync. Sync said I want to load data into a Gen2 storage CSV file. So earlier we have used CSV. Let's go with the JSON. This DS for ADLSGen2 JSON. This is the linked service. A file path. Select global. So a lot of IDs are there. Now under that there is subfolders we need to create. If you remember, See, these are the subfolders, first EMP transaction. How we can able to create sync side? You need to create a one dataset parameter. All these things are very basic labs basically. At least only linked service parameter we have not discussed. All of these things we have discussed. People are not even understanding. Sync folder, okay. This is the dataset sync folder. You need to pass the value. How to pass the value?
Item dot sync.
Sync folder. Item dot sync folder. Click OK. Simple. So now what you are doing? Maybe they are giving a different URLs. URL directly you are passing to the linked service dynamically. So this URL will be given by for each to the dataset. Dataset will pass that to the linked service parameter. Linked service parameter will pass this URL to the linked service. Linked service will connect to this URL, and we will read data from this URL that will be written into the first folder in the ADLSGen2. Now you debug. First copy activity succeeded. Okay, let's go and see whether the folder is created or not here. Under global, we created the subfolders. Okay, you see cust emp. So under cust, which data we loaded? ID number 1. Whether ID number 1 came or not here. Yes, see ID number 1. This is a JSON format I have taken. That's why it is coming like this. Okay, see 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 are succeeded. Now if you refresh, you will be able to see those 4 subfolders. Clear to all of you?
Yes.
Clear.
So how many kinds of REST API scenarios used generally in real time? Where to use REST API? So multiple will be there. We cannot guess how many. So that is depends on business scenario. These are some of the use cases what I frequently hear from the people. Okay, we
But
cannot
Malaya, like,
remember. Okay, yes,
sorry. So Malaya, like in your example, you just took 4, right? We can have millions of requests.
No. Of request will not be there. Millions of requests if we have, that is through the same URL, not with the millions of URLs request will be done the same URL.
Yeah, we can have I mean the same URL, but like 1, 2, 3, 4 you can have up to like 100,000. So
yes,
will you have records in the metadata table like having 100,000 records?
Problem is this is not developed by we. That's why you are not really understanding the real-time scenario. In real time, what happens if you have access the data for page 1? 1 means not a ID 1, only one record. In real time, they will not develop any REST API to bring only one record 1, second record 2, third record 3. If you give 3 third record, if you give 2 second record, no. If you are giving 1 means entire page may have a 1 million records. 1 million records it will pass at once. Maybe if you have given a date equal to start date equal to 2022-06-01, it will give you that entire June 1st entire data it will give you. Okay, in real time what happens, clients wants to process last 2 years data. Maybe you need to iterate through last 2 years data. Maximum that kind of things will be there, but millions of URLs you are not iterating through. Okay, that will not be a real time scenario. Okay, 100% that will not happen. Okay, so you are going to request through one URL that will fetch you millions of billions of records at once. Okay, but why they are putting this? Because this REST API URL will restrict what data they have, like it should be passed to the requester. Suppose you are requesting some data using this REST URL, so whoever developing this REST API, they will control all this data, what data should be displayed and all as per the client suggestions. Clear? Okay. Got some idea now?
Yes.
See, the only confusion is you are looking at this example because we don't have anything in online apart from this. That's why we have taken this. There are few more, but everything will give like this only. Yeah, one thing I can tell you, if you use this entire URL, it will give you all the data at once. If you're not specifying any number, you see here, suppose if you're not specifying any number, you requested for this URL, it will give you entire data like that. So in real time also, when you request for some URL, everything will come at once. Just to show you in real time, maybe data will be processed by day, okay, by page. So that just to show you that I have added this one or something like that. But real time is when you add even one or date to it, millions of records will come at once, not one record.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you, Malaya.
Thank you. Next.
Yeah, if in real time you need to pass multiple parameter or objects, so in that case, how can you handle this?
Multiple parameters, if you want to pass it to the same this one.
Yes. Sometimes you need to pass object also, right?
Very good question. Because what happens is that maybe happens, right? So maybe you need to pass start date and end date. How you'll pass start date and end date? Okay. Example I would have given, that's okay. I'll show you now. Come to data set here. So REST URL is there, right? Here you can just put here, you have a two parameters, okay, parameter 1 and parameter 2. Just use a concat of, okay, just use a parameter 1 is, suppose you are passing a start date equal to, you are passing something, you just pass it dynamically here, dynamically you pass some date here, okay, 22/06/01, okay. Again, so what we have is end date equal to, just pass the end date also dynamical. This is using another parameter.
Okay.
Got it?
Right.
So now what happens? This entire thing will be appended and it will give you the final URL. This entire thing will be at the end of the URL like this. Multiple things, if you want to pass it, you can just do it like this.
So Malay, you are appending this value in the URL, but in some cases, so you need to pass object, right? Also data object also in the
talking about body kind of thing, body,
yeah.
So if you want to see, REST API will not take any body when you are getting the data. When you are posting something, it will suppose when you will use that is, I'll tell you, access token you need to get it. See, now we are basically not entering any username and password, okay, but in real time you need to have some kind of a access token to get the data.
Right.
With the access token, what you will do is you will use some URL here, okay, that URL first. Using that URL here, you will use a method called post, okay. Here you will pass the body. Maybe you may have multiple parameters, okay. So those all parameters you will pass it as a body. Example, data factory name. In the REST API, in the logic app, when I called, I have shown you, right, multiple parameters. You can just pass it here, pipeline name, something like this. Maybe you can just pass all the parameters. These parameters will be used in this URL, and using these parameters, it will generate a access token. That access token you will get it in the web activity output. That access token you are going to use in the copy activity to authenticate and fetch the data from that REST API URL. Okay, clear?
Okay,
But in the copy activity, you are going to get the data. When you're getting data, you're not posting anything. But when you want to get some kind of access token and all, you need to post some kind of a details. Which access token? So what permissions we have? What is your role? So what is your source you are trying to access? Which table and all? If you want to pass as a body, you can pass and get the access token. Clear?
Right. Okay. Thanks.
This is really important, okay. Web activity, after web activity we use copy activity, and web activity access token they will use in copy activity. People are working in ADF, they will get this scenario, like most probably you will get this kind of scenario, okay. Next, you need to respond quickly, don't waste anybody time, please. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, then thank you all. Thank you. That's it for today.